This is Karen with NewClevelandRadio.net, and it is time for Care Notes for Caregivers with Doug Wilber. And the topic we're going to be talking about today is payroll, the odds and ends of payroll. Welcome, Doug.
Well, it's nice talking with you, and I don't know if payroll is an exciting topic, but it's exciting to get a paycheck.
Absolutely.
And so we want it to be done right. Now, I am not the payroll guru or the payroll guy. Lisa Mollahan is our human resources manager over the human resources. Actually, she's the director of human resources, and she has other responsibilities as well as a directorial role in the company. And so if you have any needs or questions or other things like that, individuals who are listening to this podcast could contact her. She really is great at answering questions and dealing with things. And so if you do, that would be great. But I do want to kind of cover some of the things, and many of these things should have been covered in orientation, but like so many things in orientation, people are oftentimes overwhelmed with information. So one of the first things I want to encourage people to think about or do is get direct deposit. Eventually, we're going to really require some sort of direct deposit. So if you haven't set it up, go in and set it up. You get the check in a faster way, or your pay in a faster way when you do direct deposit, because you don't have to wait for the U.S. mail to get it to you, and there's just a lot of good reasons for doing it. So that would be the first thing. You'll basically find that on a biweekly basis, it will prevent things like lost checks or mail delays or other problems that are so typically the problems that we see when there are problems. And frankly, we almost never see a problem when there's a direct deposit. So now, to sign up, it's really several simple steps. There is a form, a direct deposit form, and that was given to you at orientation. If you need a new one, contact the office, but fill that out. Get a voided check or a direct deposit letter from your bank, and then mail, fax, email, drop off the completed direct deposit form, voided check, or letter to the office. And you can call the office and get the fax number, but just for your information, it's 440-484-5391. You can also send it to Lisa M. at cherishedagency.com. So that's it. It's really simple. Once we get the information, we'll sign you up, and it'll be coming directly to your bank at a really fast clip. Second thing is people need to sign up for paychecks online, and basically you can only do this after you've worked a shift. And then once you've worked a shift, we on our end will have added you to paychecks, so then you can go in and set up your own account. This allows you to see things like your pay stubs and be able to print pay stubs and change your tax exemptions. You don't have to go through anyone in the company to do it. Update your address, change your direct deposit information, look at your W-2s. Anyway, it's great. It's something that will make life a lot easier for you, and you don't have to call anyone. It's all there, and it's super simple. All you have to do is go to paychecksonline.com, and Paychecks is spelled Paychex and then online.com. So anyway, follow the instructions, and it's simple to do. And then one of the other things that I'd like to do, sort of on Lisa's behalf, is go over some of the typical questions that people might get or that we get about a paycheck. So first thing is, who should someone talk to, an employee, if they think the paycheck is incorrect? And it's simple. Most paychecks questions are about hours or rates of pay. So the first place to start would be with your CCM. That's the client care manager who is involved in the case where you might have some questions. If you're unable to get the questions answered through them, then the next step would be to talk to Lisa Whitmer or Lisa Mullahan. Those are the two. So all you have to remember is Lisa. One of the Lisas will be able to generally handle most of those questions. Next question is, which miles do I turn in? So the miles that you turn in is not for commuting, not for going to and from the client. It's for the miles that you've driven for the client using your vehicle. Those are the only ones you turn in. So inevitably, we get a new employee, and they'll accidentally turn in miles that they drove to and from the client and other things, and that's a problem because it's not accurate. And those things all get billed to the client, and it causes, situations that aren't good. So, and then, we calculate travel time for someone. You don't have to worry about the travel time. It's automatically calculated. We can, and this is when you're going from client to client. So you don't have to keep track of that or turn that in. It's automatically calculated. We have a sophisticated system that does that. One of the things that happens is when you're clocking out using our telephone clock in and clock out system or the ClearCare app, they're going to prompt you to enter your miles that you had. When that is something that you are prompted to do, only do it for the mileage that was for the client using your vehicle. Okay, that's the only time you would do that. Another question we oftentimes get is, why are my overtime rates different? And you would think, well, why would that happen, that there would be different rates? And well, here's why. Home care is a variable rate employer, and because of that, because different shifts can be paid different rates, depending on things. The requirement from the FLSA is that we blend the rates. In other words, it's kind of an average rate or a blended rate. And so if you have 1 week or another week, you'll find that blended rate can change how overtime is calculated. And so we're doing it honestly because we're required by law to do it that way, but that explains why you'll see, the rate differentials for when you're getting paid overtime. One of the things you may want to also look at is the pay stub. Now, the pay stub, to try to find out where everything is. I'll just try to go through and explain where some of the locations. So if you go to the far left side of your sub, that shows your personal information, including the dates of pay that your check covers. It also has your net pay for the period and for also the entire year to date. So that's YTD would be the year to date. And then the right side, you'll see earnings. So from left to right, it goes description, which is this is the description. For example, mileage, reimbursements, live-in, overnight. So the description of what was done. And the hours or units, this is the number of hours or live-in days worked during this period. And the rate, that is the rate paid for those hours. Also, this period with a dollar sign, this shows the total amount you were paid for this period for each item. The YTD hours is shows the number of hours you were paid for the entire year to date per each line item in that case. And then the YTD dollar sign that you might see, this shows the total amount you were paid at those hours or those units for the entire year to the date that you're seeing that line item. Some other things is that you may see is once you're eligible for the 401k, you're going to see the contributions the company has made on your behalf into your account in this area. Withholdings, if you see that, this is where you'll see all of your taxes. You can also see your filing status next to your federal and Ohio line. Also, remember that if you only work for us part-time, federal taxes may not always be withheld. Be sure to keep an eye on this area if you need to have more federal taxes withheld, to call and discuss your withholdings. Also, if you live in a city or municipality that charges taxes, it's your responsibility to let us know you wish to have them withheld in that situation. A couple other things, deductions. This is where you'll find any additional deductions you've set up, such as 401k contributions or medical or dental payments. If you eventually end up having those, things like court garnishments or payments for uniforms or other miscellaneous deductions will show up in that area as well. So one of the things that we do is we work so hard. I cannot tell you how much time we work to make sure the paycheck is correct. But remember, we're human, so mistakes can sometimes happen. Always look at your paycheck, and especially, at the beginning, you should look to get familiar with things, but then just always do a quick look over on your paycheck because we want it to be correct. We want everything to be right. And if we make something wrong, or if we do something wrong, we will make it right on your behalf. Also, make sure you use your the telephony system or the app in your phone for clock-ins and clock-outs. That is really, really important. You need to do it, and you need to do it right, because that's what we're basing things on, at least initially, in putting in the information. So wrong information in can produce wrong information that we get that can affect people's pay. So sometimes many of the problems happen because the employee didn't clock in or clock out properly. So always make sure that you finalize your shifts in the correct way. Anyway, one of the things that we know is that everyone enjoys their paycheck. They're dependent on their paycheck, and we really want to do it right for you. So, doing your part is really important, but we work really hard to do our part in the office so that we can support you, so that you can concentrate on what you're really about, which is helping people with being able to be independent. And lastly, we appreciate all that you do for our clients, and that's why we endeavor to make sure that everything's right on our end, so that hopefully you have very little hassle, if ever at all, with your paycheck. Anyway, that's some thoughts about paychecks and payment and direct deposit and all of that information. I hope this was helpful, and hope that you are able to enjoy your work and enjoy the fruits of your work. So thank you very much.
Again, this was Care Notes for Caregivers discussing payroll odds and ends.